everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review The Lost City of Z, or Zed, depending on where you're from. And I heard a lot of buzz around this film, and I thought the trailers were intriguing, so when this film actually came out in theaters, I was very excited, and I was actually pretty blown away by this film, and it exceeded the expectations that I had. And this film is directed and written by James Gray. What James Gray did with this film is he made a very perfectly classic atmosphere, very traditional looking film. This film felt like it could have been released back in like the 50s, and it just felt like they don't make movies like this anymore. And I thought that was a really cool thing that James Gray brought to this film. And with the period piece aspect of this taking place in like 19 teens and the 20s, I thought that was a fantastic way of really trying to fit this film into the era and make you really feel immersed in it. And in terms of the way that it was directed, the pacing wasn't quick, the pacing wasn't like hard driving forward. It was very methodical, but in the best way for this. This felt like an epic journey through this era of this man, Percy Fawcett's life, about discovering this lost city, this lost civilization in the Amazon. And all that brought together really made this film into something out of the past. And a big part of this, with the pacing, it took a little while to get going. It kind of had a late start to it. The first, say, half an hour of it was enjoyable, but it didn't really feel like, okay, this is a great film. But there's this one point where he comes back from his first expedition, where he has finally found his drive for his mission, and this movie goes into a completely different gear and drives to the finish and really elevates to a fantastic film. And from the cinematography, which was done by Darius Konji, it's impeccable. This film is beautiful. Everything is shot perfectly, and it really comes together. It has a graininess to how it was shot that makes it really do feel like this film was not made for 2017. This film was made for the 20th century, and that early to mid 20th century time when things like Casablanca and the African Queen were coming out, and this really fits into that mold. And what Gray and Konji were able to do, bringing this film together, worked very well. And going back to James Gray with his writing, this is a very fascinating story, and it really grabbed me and held me throughout this whole entire film, because I really began to feel really connected to Fawcett, and is he really going to finally make it to this place? And I was so invested in him. And the depth of some of the characters, Percy Fawcett as the main character in this was really intriguing and really interesting, and his dynamic with his wife and his adventure buddies and other public figures. And what it really made for was a varied and very believable system of conflicts throughout the film. Him feeling isolated from his family, that conflict with his wife and his children felt very powerful. Conflicts with his colleagues and other adventurers, and where they fell in believing his story, or like where he would go to understand the people that he was discovering in this place, was really cool. And getting to the acting, well, before I get into the acting, the only negative really that I felt with the script was it felt like it lost its way a bit towards the second, third act. And there's a whole section of the movie that felt, at least to me, a little out of place. This is a true story, so obviously that's why this was included in this film. It just kind of made it feel like he kind of lost some direction of the story, but it was able to get back and really drive home. Now with the acting, Charlie Hunnam, I'm just going to say this, I've never liked Charlie Hunnam. I thought he's actually a pretty bad actor, and I'm wrong, because boy did he bring it to this performance, and he was amazing in this film. and what he was able to do with Percy Fawcett. He brought a sense of honor and integrity to this role and some gravitas that I did not expect from him. He was able to command the screen, and he brought a very British sentiment to this character where it was very like a, a stiff upper lip, and in all of this different civilizations and through these jungles and this wars that he's experiencing, he really keeps that sensibility to himself. And I was really impressed by Charlie Hunnam in this film. And then Sienna Miller, who plays his wife, the two of them had fantastic chemistry. I bought their relationship from the start, and she did a really good job as well. The two standout supporting actors in this film, Robert Pattinson, if I didn't know it was him, he could have easily went right under the radar and I wouldn't even realize that it was him in this film. He created such a unique person to be in this film that it was so believable, just the little details that he brought to the role, and it was fantastic. And then you look at Angus McFadden, who has starred in Braveheart, and he played this other adventurer, and he was so slimy at times, and like I wanted to jump in the screen and punch the guy in the face, and it's just like he really brought it and was powerful performance and believable and brought a really great conflict to a large chunk of this film. And Tom Holland's in it, Spider-Man. And at first I thought he was going to be really annoying, but he grew into the role as his character grew older, and I thought he did a nice job as well. Now, just on a side note, the production design in this, the costumes, and the makeup that makes them age throughout the film, all of it was top notch, and I'd be shocked if this film wasn't around for that kind of discussion once Oscar comes along. And then the music by Christopher Spellman had a very traditional vibe of like old school orchestra kind of composition here with the music, but it felt so epic and fitting and just brought everything together, the swells of the music, the sense of adventure of this film, exploration. Overall, I really, really enjoyed this film, and it's definitely one of my top films of the year so far. I'm going to give The Lost City of Z an A-.